are one America. Are we not? Thank you, Denver, for inviting me to come here today to join in celebration of our neighbors, our America. We are protecting our Muslim neighbors. At first, I might seem to you an unlikely man to be standing here today, and you'd be right. I was raised in a bigoted home in Louisiana, bigoted against African Americans, against gay people, and against people of other faiths. Many of you were also. And then I got old enough to get out on my own, both in college and in my career. And in 1983, I met my first Muslim, who was majoring in electronics at my university along with me. He was Iranian, which brought a bit of tension with it, since this was right after the Iranian hostage crisis. And I confess, my heart sank when I learned that he was assigned to be my lab partner. We would be lab partners for 2 years. His name was Mushtaba. He had a wife and a little girl, a toddler, who would come up to the college to picnic every day with him and have lunch as a family. He was astute and quite courteous, sometimes sharing Persian cuisine with me that he had created, just like Mama used to make back home. And I developed an affection for my Mushtaba. He was a kindly, gentle, family man, and he was a good Muslim. Eventually, too, I became honest enough with myself and my world to come out as a gay man.
Yeah!
And I began working with people who were different than myself. It really didn't take all that long for me to realize that what I had been taught as a child was all phony. It was all based on the very thinnest of lies. Which led me to one conclusion. All that bigotry is about nothing more than bullying. Straight up. This is true about race and sexual orientation and gender and where you are from and religion and every other arbitrary characteristic haters use to divide our people. Once I discovered this truth, my world opened up, and my life has since been filled with colorful friends and acquaintances from all kinds of backgrounds. On the day after this past Thanksgiving, I made this sign and held it in front of the Islamic Center of Irving, Texas. People noticed, and it went viral because I'm not the only one that felt this way. You did too. We all recognize that we must stand up against the lies about our Muslim neighbors. And let me be clear, by maligning an entire Muslim population because of the crimes of a few dangerous lunatics is a lie. It is done on purpose, by design, to divide our people, to consolidate power for those who are already at the top. And these lies are dangerous. They cost people their lives, their jobs, their health, their security, their job, their joy, and even their very families. These lies prevent fully vetted, desperate refugees from arriving here to begin rebuilding and sharing their lives with us. These lies enable and encourage the bullying of Muslim children and Muslim adults. And they burn down sacred places of worship that rightfully belong to God Almighty. Worst of all, these lies harden hearts, don't they? These lies harden hearts, pitting human beings against other human beings, and that is evil. It is evil. These lies must be confronted. And that is why I made that sign, and that is why we're all here today. We say that is not our America. We are here to directly challenge those lies. We will challenge these lies when we hear them from politicians, and lies from preachers, and lies from others in leadership, and from talking heads on television. Right now, this very day, in this very hour, in this place, our nation determines that Osama bin Laden loses because we are refusing to turn on one another as they want it and as our government wants us to do right now. Look around you and be proud, be hopeful, be bold, for this is what America defeating terrorism looks like, whatever its source, foreign or domestic. This is what defeating fascist dictatorship looks like. This past Monday, 2 men from the mosque came out to greet me as I held my sign, as the folks at the mosque often do. We had a warm conversation and took a picture together, and they beckoned to a teenager who was walking by, probably about 15 years old, and asked him to take our picture. And he was a bit shy at meeting me, and he took the picture and thanked me for what I was doing and said it was cool. I told him that what's cool is that Donald Trump can't take his rights away because Donald Trump didn't grant him his rights. His United States Constitution did. That's why they're called rights. That's why they're called rights. And those rights have been paid for by the blood of every generation of patriots for over 240 years. I told him he must find his voice and begin to use it to speak up for his rights and those of his neighbors. And he assured me that he would. And as he left, my heart went out to him. I could see promise in store for him, as I do for every young person here today. But I also see obstacles. Young people, you are our next generation. You will continue to build and transform this nation on its ascent to justice and true morality. You are on the cusp of entering the adult world we are forming for you. And you will have to step up to bat and take on these issues of immigration and human rights, freedom of religion, and even basic human decency in everyday life. But so do we all right now. We must all care enough to get involved right now. Take up all of the slack and create the change we demand. One of the most encouraging things is that people are stepping away from their computers and taking action in person. For other flesh and blood human beings. We are marching, we are demonstrating, preaching and advocating. We are loving, feeding, clothing and nursing our neighbors. We're demanding the release of detained travelers, demanding answers from indifferent and hostile politicians, ensuring that our rights, that assaults on our rights do not go unanswered. And we are volunteering, needing to help one another, because that is still who we are. What does it mean? What does it mean to protect our Muslim neighbors? Well, for one thing, joining Community for Unity to amplify our efforts together. For instance, we're planning to join us 2 weeks for the Protect Our Constitution rally, February 15th. Giving food and money to the Food Bank of the Rockies and other ministries that literally feed our people. giving of our time and effort to advocate for all refugees with the International Rescue Committee Denver, becoming involved in the political change we will be making happen. And we're stepping it up because this need is increasing rapidly. We have found our way forward into the light, into restoration, into individual personal joy and liberty. And it is to help one another. It is to love one another. In early December, a lady in absolute despair wrote to me, and she's alone. She is worried about her Medicare and her Medicaid and her food stamps. They are all she has. She is terrified that her food stamps will be cut and she will have nothing to eat. And her fear is real, folks. I replied that I could not fix her food stamp problem or her Medicare and Medicaid problems. The only advice I had for her is the same age-old prescription contained in the Holy Scriptures of every religion. Find someone you can help. Even if you have nothing but time to give, find a way to give that. That is true. And she wrote me back the next day, and she said that she went to her pantry and found 2 boxes of cereal that had been in there that she wasn't going to eat. And she took them and went over to her neighbor's house and just cold called, knocked on the door, and told the lady what she was there for, to give her these 2 boxes of cereal. And that lady burst into tears because she literally had nothing to eat. And she returned home and she wrote to me and she said, "Buddy, I feel better. I have a way forward now to face my fears." This is who we are. This is who and what Americans are. And this is how we move forward. Americans are giving and hopeful. We have faith and we believe in the decency and goodwill of ourselves, of our fellow Americans. A mighty American heroine, Helen Keller, told us, "Faith is the strength by which a shattered world shall emerge into the light. Believe. No pessimist ever discovered the secrets of the stars, or sailed to an uncharted land, or opened a new heaven to the human spirit." And she was right. Believing in and celebrating our neighbors is our way of life. We treasure our way of life, and we will never, never, never stop being who we are. Sorry.